Hi, Nanoside here, and I'm going to discuss with you some of the big changes happening with the way players will be traveling with portals post World of Warcraft 8.15 patch. Also, we will be taking a look at the revamped portal locations in both Stormwind and Orgrimmar. Okay, so let us jump right into what is happening with portals in World of Warcraft patch 8.15. First off, Alliance players will notice that the Stormwind portal room has seen a significant renovation, as in it looks like the mages finally spent all that gold that they've earned from portal fees since 2004 to spruce up the place. Now for Horde players, well, you get a portal room too. Unfortunately, it looks like they took one of Orgrimmar's janitorial closets, threw some portal locations in it, and called it a day. Each portal room has the same locations with exception of the Jade Forest, Ashran, and Battle for Azeroth portals, as each faction's portal takes them to their respective hub, such as Borealis for Alliance and Dazalor for Horde. The other included portals are the Burning Crusade Shattrath, Wrath of Lich King's Dalaran, and Azuna. The Cataclysm Zone portals in each city remain unchanged. The Alliance has an honor-hold mage downstairs at the Mage Tower entrance who will take players to the Blasted Lands upon request. Then the player must run through the big dark portal, even though it looks like the Warlords of Draenor one with orcs from that expansion running around it to get to the Burning Crusade Outland. Horde players talk to a Thrallmar mage to do the same thing. All of this sounds really great. By consolidating all portals in one location, it is a great quality of life improvement and very beneficial to new players. However, as with any change in Warcraft these days comes a cost. Most other portals in other cities have been removed. Yes, they are gone. The portals that remain are ones to Stormwind for Alliance and Orgrimmar for Horde. Starting with Legion's Dalaran, the removed portals include Alliance City portals of Ironforge, Darnassus, and the Exodar. Horde City portals removed include Thunderbluff, Undercity, and Silvermoon City. In addition, Caverns of Time, Dalaran Crater, Karazhan, Burning Crusade Shattrath, Wyrmrest Temple, and Vale of the Eternal Blossoms are all gone as well. At the Shrine of the Seven Stars and Shrine of the Two Moons, both portals to Shattrath and Northern Dalaran have been removed. In Northern Dalaran, the Caverns of Time portal has been removed, and the Orgrimmar and Stormwind Hellfire Peninsula portals have been removed as well. As previously mentioned, there are mages that will port players to the Blasted Lands in front of the Dark Portal. Now in Burning Crusade Shattrath, the portal to the Isle of Quel'Danas remains, and the Tanaan jungle portals in Ashran also remain. So you may be asking what the big deal is, and for some there isn't one. For others, this has become a point of unwavering contention. The biggest argument I have seen for the portal removal comes from, for a lack of a better term, game purists. People in this camp feel the game is too easy and people should be forced into the world. Blizzard seems to fall into this camp as well after a 5,000 plus post mega thread titled "Stop Removing Portals" on this issue was a response finally coaxed from Blizzard in a post by community manager Kyvex. In this post, Kyvex went on to explain Blizzard's response to the question of why, which was being repeatedly asked. The response, and I quote, went as follows. From the beginnings of World of Warcraft, game designers have had a number of guiding principles. Sometimes these notions change quickly, and sometimes they evolve slowly, but a few guiding principles have remained more or less the same throughout WoW's history. One such lodestar has been don't overuse portals between locations in the world. Too many eliminations of the distances between places can diminish a sense of the world having a meaningful size. Of course, there's an equal and opposite design consideration. Don't make it too inconvenient to get from most places to most other places. Some amount of convenience is vital. Not every visit to a wondrous landscape is your first. We know when it's your 100th visit, you don't want the flight over to be the bulk of your time spent. And of course, some players have chosen to play as warlocks or mages specifically because those classes offer unique means of transport. With new expansions, we've made a tradition of removing some of the portals from the previous expansion cities. The goal with that is to encourage transportation flow through newer places where players are more likely to interact with other players. We neglected to do that initially following Legion, and we never did that following Mists of Pandaria for various reasons. But we feel that we should have. We're correcting that now. Borealis and Dazalor will continue to offer portals to a full range of capital cities, as well as to Silithus. The portals to the Cataclysm zones will remain intact. and many other modes of transportation such as the Dalaran Signet Rings, Karazhan's Ring, the Timeless Isle Trinket, Coordination Cloaks, and boats and zeppelins between many regions will all be retained and functional. However, we've seen how updates to the game can leave the means of accessing different areas feeling increasingly chaotic. For example, today if you go to the Cleft of Shadows in Orgrimmar, you'll find it dotted with portals in a way that almost looks sporadic. We're cleaning that up, and we see this as an opportunity to consolidate a lot of travel into a consistent venue with a consistent look and feel, and room for future growth when needed. In other words, Blizzard consolidated portals and removed any they felt weren't necessary. The consolidation of portals in Stormwind and Orgrimmar was needed, as I completely agree with their statement. The portals felt like they were haphazardly strung throughout the two cities. However, was it really necessary to kill portals to specific areas elsewhere? Bornak had mentioned the following in a post on the Mega thread on portals. I understand that changes can throw people off a bit at first, but I also think that they help keep the world of Azeroth feeling alive. When there are fewer portals, does the world feel a bit bigger to you? I don't get how removing portals keeps the world alive. If anything, I think the portals have kept the world alive. From my personal experience, anytime I went to the shrines in the Vale of the Eternal Blossoms, or Legion's Dalaran, the places have been filled with players. Now with the removal of portals from these locations, what reasons do players have to still hang around them? And as for the claim, does the world feel bigger? Not really. In fact, it sort of feels smaller, because on an AFK auto flight of "Are we there yet?" I'm usually tabbed out reading Reddit, forums, local news, watching a video, just simply doing something else. So in effect, no. The world just feels the same, if not just a bit more annoying, because of some meaningless travel delay. In essence, what I'm saying is for experienced players who have seen the content more than enough times, increasing travel times is a waste of one's valuable time. This might be enough to make a player decide that doing said content is no longer worth the effort. There are 3 portals being removed, which are Caverns of Time, Wyrmrest Temple, and Karazhan, that I think should be re-examined. Let's tackle that list in reverse order. For Alliance, it is a mere inconvenience to get to Karazhan. Start at Stormwind, AFK fly to Karazhan while you read Reddit. Horde, well, you have a few options. Get a mage portal to Stonard, Zeppelin to Gromgol and then fly, or what I recommend, take the Blasted Lands, talk to the Thrallmar mage port, and fly to Karazhan. This is my recommended means for Alliance as well, with the Honorhold mage at the front of the mage tower. In the end, instead of a hearth to Legion Dalaran and a run to the portal room taking a total of about 30 seconds, players are inconvenienced between 3 and 5 minutes. Next is the Wyrmrest Temple portal. This is helpful for those working on saving Chromie. Now, if you never turned in the original quest, the portal will be there as it is related to the quest, and quests that require portals will have the portals active for them for Legion content. So if you've turned it in, well, your best bet is to go to Northern Dalaran and fly out. The Flight Master sends you in a circle around the city because wasting time is fun, and then you land at the base of the temple where just a short mount and fly up to Chromie is all it takes. Again, what would have previously been about 30 seconds now takes 3 to 4 extra minutes. And we cannot forget about the additional raids located at the base of the temple. Last is the Caverns of Time portal. This is by far the biggest portal removal that does not make sense, and the one that I wish to make my case for reinstatement the most. Caverns of Time is the most out-of-the-way place when compared to the other locations. It is in Tenaris, which is a zone that for players using traditional means is a bit of a trek. Originally, Alliance would travel through Theramore, and Horde would take off from Thunderbluff, but later could use portals in Dalaran. But now with the removal of the Caverns of Time portal from both versions of Dalaran, players will most likely use the Uldum portal, mount up and fly over to the caverns. I will note that players who are revered with Keepers of Time will be able to take the Shatrath portal and speak to Zephyr at the World's End Tavern for a port to the Caverns of Time as well. But let's take a moment to examine this. For example, an Alliance player starting in the Borealis portal room, this is now a journey that takes around 4 minutes, where before patch 8.15, players could just hit their Dalaran Hearthstone and be less than 30 seconds away from Caverns of Time. Now to address a point, or rather a question Bornak brought up in the Stop Removing Portals mega thread on the Warcraft forums, where he said the following. What content are folks doing in Caverns of Time that the portal helps with so much? What about other areas? How much time do you think the new setup will add to your journey? Well, I would think the answer is pretty obvious for Caverns of Time. Caverns of Time offers 6 dungeons, 2 raids, 2 reputations worth of content. And I answered the next part about the added time, and that is 4 minutes to just get to where the portal would spawn players at the beginning of the cavern. Another full minute is needed to reach the bottom where the instances are actually located. I would say, though, Wowhead user Nitro1441 said it best. This particular player had to hit Dragon Soul over 500 times to finally get the Blazing Drake they wanted. At times they were doing Dragon Soul 16 times a week. If the portal didn't exist, they couldn't have done it. The raid is trivial content, and yet it still takes 30 minutes per run because of all the horrible scripting players have to sit through. Adding more travel time is a waste of valuable time. They don't want to waste time flying the same path over and over again. And Nitro1441 is right about a few things there. Let me be super conservative and say a player somehow managed to minimize their new additional travel time to cover the time to where they only added an extra 3 minutes. Over those 500 runs, Nitro would have spent an additional 1,500 minutes of playtime, which translates to 24 hours. Time is valuable. In fact, I would argue that time is the ultimate currency. We each only have so much of it. And thinking that for this player alone, they would have sacrificed 25 additional hours of play to accomplish what they did on pointless, meaningless travel is just absurd at best and downright criminal at worst. Well into the Battle for Azeroth expansion, I began to notice various activities in the game that seemed to take longer than they should have. In some cases, only a second more per action or an extra 10 seconds on some other task. I tried to rationalize a reason for these delays. These eventually became what I called micro-time gates. But it was only recently, when I started to think about various metrics and analytics associated with game development, did this all start to come together. Playtime metrics suddenly came into focus, and quickly did things start to make sense for me on why these so-called micro-time gates exist in-game. For example, when Blizzard artificially causes a quest to, say, take 10 seconds longer through tiny, rather unnoticeable delays, those 10 seconds from a single player are rather insignificant. But when you do the same thing to 1 million players, 10 million seconds or almost 4 months of playtime is added to the total playtime of the community, which in turn increases the average playtime. All of this makes the numbers on paper look good, and even better to say shareholders if Blizzard was to ever brag about how engaged players are with their product in terms of playtime. But more so, I think the metric is being used internally to gauge how successful the game is doing. The more time players spend playing, the better the game is doing, right? Now, I could be wrong on all this. This could just be some hardcore tinfoil hat wearing. But I find it hard to justify some of these changes that increases meaningless gameplay time with any other explanation. Unlike some who have suggested in the comments on a few fan sites, I won't say the developers are incompetent. Because, being completely honest here, to get hired at a company such as Blizzard Entertainment and do development work, an impressive skill set is required. So that leaves me asking, what else could be the reason beyond what has been stated, as it clearly seems wrong? Back to the post from Kyvex, the last 2 paragraphs went as follows. We've processed a lot of feedback on this, especially feedback about specific locations that feel like they're going to become disproportionately inconvenient to reach. And we followed that feedback through to the conclusion that you're seeing on the PTR. We believe that the numerous remaining means of quick access in the game make the most locations quite reachable. If there are any specific locations that feel as though they're about to become unreasonably inaccessible, we're certainly open to adding additional means of travel in the future. Well, any area of the game is actually reachable. It is only a time factor. I would argue the same as Nitro1441 argued. Time is valuable. I don't want to spend it traveling over and over again on the same path when there was previously a portal there. In highly farmed, large-scale instance hub areas, such as Caverns of Time, Karazhan, and Wormrest Temple, having a quick access portal makes a lot of sense. The content is old. The content is trivial. And frankly, allowing players faster access to such content is a better mechanism to encourage others to run said content. Putting up barriers, no matter how small, for dated content like this only acts as a discouraging agent. So I ask, why would I spend potentially hours upon hours of extra unnecessary travel time when I can simply log out and find another game to fill my valuable time with? I might even go read a book instead. Let me know what your thoughts are about the whole portal situation in the 8.15 patch in the comments below, and please keep it civil. If you like this video, hit the like button, and be sure to subscribe to me to see other great game content like this. Follow me on Twitter @Nanoside for my latest thoughts and comments on video game happenings. And lastly, thank you for watching.